What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to talk about Shannon Sharpe. As you probably already seen by now, Shannon Sharpe is taking another L, man. Cam Newton just signed with ESPN in the slot that most people thought that Shannon Sharpe would have. So this means that Shannon Sharpe just, he just took another loss. Really, basically, he lost he lost his opportunity to sign for some people say up to like $100 million when he had that affair, or it's not even really an affair. He had that little relationship with the young lady, and she threatened to, I guess, to sue him, and so he settled out of court, and that was $100 million. So that cost him right there. Then on top of that, he lost, he lost endorsements. He lost a few endorsements, and he lost his job with ESPN. So if you ask me, it's more than $100 million that Shannon Sharpe potentially lost with that relationship, that reckless relationship that he had with that young lady, Gabriella Zunis. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play some audio from a guy from the lead attorney about what happened with Shannon Sharpe and with the lawsuit with the young lady Gabrielle Zunis.
Our man Shannon Sharpe is taking loss after loss after loss. First, we all know that Shannon paid Gabriella Zuniga tens of millions of dollars to settle that lawsuit. So many people thought it was so crazy that he got extorted by this 19-year-old. You'll remember that she was the one texting Shannon that it would be $25,000 per cheek. She was texting Shannon saying, "Hey, what's taking so long? Where's the cash?" This is the girl sending Shannon text saying, "I want you to choke me, daddy," and then turned around and filed a $50 million lawsuit claiming that he was choking her. Oh, it was pure extortion, and it worked. Reports say that she got over $20 million from the lawsuit. Shannon's almost 60 years old, but this young 20-something is laughing all the way to the bank at his expense. It's interesting also that a lot of people were calling Shannon Sharpe out for the way that he treated Gabriella Zuniga versus the way that he treated his own daughter. People noted that he was paying Miss Zuniga tens of thousands of dollars, which turned into millions, but would only pay a small amount for his own daughter's wedding.
That's crazy. That's crazy. The thing about it is, like lead attorney said, Gabriella Zuniga, only 21 years old, 21, 22 years old, and finesse Shannon Sharpe out of millions of dollars. And I always say the only leverage in this type of situation, the only leverage that this young lady could have had is the leverage that he handed to her. And so Shannon Sharpe got, I don't he got real sloppy, he got careless, and he put himself in a position where as though this young lady could finesse him out of millions of dollars. And shortly after she won that judgment against him, she went on social media talking about she was going to retire. And like I said, there are only a few ways that, few ways that men lose money. Number one, they lose money through leverage, right? So some type of way, somebody will leverage them out of money. Number two, women will finesse them out of money, which is what happened right here. And sometimes people will have like an alcohol or some type of addiction, whereas though they mess up their money. But Shannon Sharpe, at 60 years old, allowed this young lady to finesse him out of money. Now you have Cam Newton, who is who's benefiting or is going to get the job and hold that slot, where Shannon Sharpe was everybody thought he was going to have it. And I know Shannon Sharpe right now got to be kicking himself, man, because I mean, Shannon Sharpe had he was big on ESPN. Him and Stephen A. Smith and the young lady Molly, they were big on there. Shannon Sharpe was big. Then he had two podcasts. He had Club Shay Shay and he had Nightcap that he was making money on. And all of that because of this reckless relationship that he had with that young lady. I mean, really, you can't feel bad for Shannon Sharpe because he the one who put himself in that position. Shannon Sharpe has managed to get fired from like every network that he ever worked at. And at every network that Shannon Sharpe has worked at, it's always been a situation where there was a young lady involved in it, right? So definitely there's a pattern there. And so some people say that, well, Shannon Sharpe, he was set up. Well, when people know where the chinks are in your armor, yeah, they can set you up. And so he had the same issue at Fox. He had it at ESPN. And there was another network that Shannon Sharpe was at. I think altogether it was 3 different networks that Shannon Sharpe, got fired from. So when people see a pattern and they know where the chinks in your armor are, of course they can set you up. So I don't know if he was set up or not. I won't even, I won't even try to guess and see if he was set up. But I know that if he didn't demonstrate that he had a certain pattern when it came to these type of situations with these young ladies, then he wouldn't have been set up. So it really basically, like I said, is Shannon's fault that he's not getting that money at ESPN. And that also the endorsements, like when he was he also had another opportunity to make some money with Colin Cowherd. Right? Colin Cowherd has his own network and he wanted to partner up with Shannon Sharpe. But as soon as these allegations came up, that deal was off the table. So if you really add it up, Shannon Sharpe lost over $100 million. He lost the opportunity to work with ESPN. Then he lost the money that this young lady sued him for. He also lost sponsorship deals. And, like I said, Shannon Sharpe really can't blame anybody but himself. Cam Newton got it. And so Cam Newton can, he the beneficiary of Shannon Sharpe's recklessness. And I don't really feel bad for Shannon Sharpe, man. It's just crazy for him to put himself in that position. And then on top of that, Shannon Sharpe was the kind of person who would talk about other people who he believed wasn't really living right or people who he thought wasn't doing the right thing. And he comes to, it comes down, he finds himself caught up in this type of scandal, in this type of situation. So, like I said, I don't feel bad for Shannon Sharpe. It's a cautionary tale, though. If, for people who are younger, you got to stay focused, And like I said, these women don't have any leverage unless you give them leverage. And Shannon Sharpe put herself in this position. She, he wanted her to do something strange for some change. And a lot of these women, they don't even like men, right? And so when they had the opportunity to exact some revenge or to get, to sue you like this young lady did, they're definitely going to do that. That's why it don't pay to have like these kind of people in your circle. She don't like men. I think she is a person who is, because of her experience and the kind of work that she's in, she is like, she's cynical about relationships. She probably cynical about men. So the work that she's doing, she probably find it demeaning. And like I said, she had the opportunity to take, to get Shannon. What like what woman in that situation wouldn't? She don't like her job. She find it demeaning, but she doing it just so she could get money. And Shannon Sharpe, he probably was the kind of guy that she probably think he thought he was better than her. So the whole situation, he just served himself up on a silver platter to this young lady. Like I said, this is a cautionary tale for young guys. The only leverage that these women have is the leverage that you give them, and that's it. If he hadn't put himself in this position, she wouldn't be able to to exploit him like that. So this is all Shannon Sharpe fault, and Cam Newton should really be thanking Shannon Sharpe for looking out for him. But yeah, man, basically that's all I have, man. I just think that Shannon Sharpe, just put himself out there like that, and he can't blame anybody but himself. So with that being said, man, y'all make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Shannon Sharpe handing Cam Newton this big payday. And I'll check you all out in the next episode. Peace.